Hey, what's going on? I'm Keith here at Sports Vibes TV, and I'm joined as always by our NBA analyst, Stephen Fox. Foxy, how's everything with you?
All is well. Shout out to you. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the SV Nation. Can't wait for Wednesday. NBA basketball is starting. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, especially with the way the Giants played at 1 o'clock today. You saw that they had the grit, the grind, and the determination to leave with a W, and they worked extremely hard to get that. You know, things weren't working for them in the first, 2-3 quarters of the game, but the offense in that fourth quarter really kicked it on and helped us secure that W. And then the defense, to see what they were able to do to get 2 turnovers late in that game and kind of seal the deal.
That was first sack.
Yeah, first strip sack.
Strip sack, exactly.
Yeah, so as a Giants fan, man, I'm great, and I'm thrilled, and I just hope that the Knicks can kind of build upon that on Wednesday.
Yo, don't forget about my Jets, man. Hey, this kid Breece Hall is the deal, man. He's spectacular. So no turnovers by the quarterback Zach, and they got a nice young nucleus. If that offensive line wasn't so banged up, it'd be even scarier. So it's crazy to think that the Jets and Giants had more wins than the Mets and the Yankees. Right. But, in October.
Well, Foxy, I got to actually think about the Jets in order to forget them. So they are not on my radar. But no, the Jets are doing their thing. They're surprising me. I thought they weren't going to be that good, but they're actually showing some toughness out there, and they're winning football games. And salute to the Jets fans out there. We'll see which team in New York ends up with the better record at the end of the season.
Ooh.
But we're here to talk New York Knicks, and our Knicks ended the preseason at 3-1. So, Foxy, we haven't been able to speak about that second Pacers game or the Wizards game. So what was some of your thoughts? Anything that you saw out there that kind of jumped off the screen and got to your attention?
Yeah, I thought the second Pacers game was a classic. I'm exhausted from Tibbs' training camp. From the first quarter on, they were hitting the front of the rim, so I said, ooh, they're tired legs. These guys, Tibbs has been running them hard in training camp, so they didn't have any legs, so I didn't care about so much the loss on that. But there were a lot of takeaways. Obviously, RJ, and we'll get into it, but I think they had a really, really strong preseason. Jalen's crazy, man. You think he's playing on this team 5 years. There was just a real comfort the way he's playing with the guys. He's just spectacular. I love this guy, man.
Yeah, I'm really keen on what Brunson has been doing. I love a lot of the stuff he's been able to do out there on the court. You can see the efficiency and also the ability to command a team. I think this team for a long time has been in dire need of somebody that can actually run a team and run a team efficiently. And now we have a point guard that can do that. He doesn't get the gaudy assist numbers, but he makes the right plays. And I think that's extremely important when you have a lead guard. Not the fact that he's always setting teams up for easy finishes, but the fact that when that easy finish isn't there, he still makes the right decision to kind of move the rock and keep things going. So I'm really thrilled with what I've seen from Jalen Brunson, and I'm even thrilled about what I'm seeing from this team when Jalen Brunson isn't playing well, because I think in the third game, the second Pacers game, Brunson really didn't shoot that well, but the starters still looked solid out there. So I think that was definitely encouraging to see.
Absolutely. He does little things that, doesn't show up in a box score, but he comes down, he sees a switch, and RJ's on TJ McConnell, knows it's a mismatch, gets him the ball immediately so he could post him up. Little things like that, man. It's where he's just so wicked smart. He had a offensive foul called where he just knew that a guy was turning his head, so if he ran a certain way that they call it. So he does all these things that his basketball IQ is off the chart, man.
Yeah, he's an extremely smart player.
Yeah, did you see that pass from out of bounds on inbound pass to RJ for the corner three?
Yeah, for the knockdown, yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, man, he can do some special things out there. He's not, I wouldn't put him in the elite category, but he's definitely a big step up from what we've had previously. So hopefully we can continue to build upon that. And he's a young guy, so you expect him to get better and better. So to see him gel this well with guys like RJ Barrett out there on the court this early on, I think that's definitely something Knicks fans can kind of point to and say, all right, we can look at that signing and feel good about it, knowing that those two are starting to gel so soon.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really, really excited. It's only going to get better, man. They're just feeling each other out. So, a quarter into the season, it'll be a lot more exciting.
Yeah, I just want to give a quick shout out to everybody in the chat. We've got a few people in. We got 34 viewers so far. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you smash that like button. I see JJ in chat. Thank you. Evan Best, salute. Appreciate you for tuning in. Geraldine McIver, thank you for joining us this Sunday afternoon. We've got Cameron in chat. Who else? We have Quiet Money. Thank you all for tuning in. Foxy, anybody want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, like you just said, Quiet Money, our friend, Mike Gowdy, like you said, Knicks 100 GM, Jay Boogie just stopped by. Hey Boogie, we just got your email. We were doing some stuff. I'll talk to you later, but we'll definitely give you a shout out, and we'll set things up for next week. Cameron Goldberg, even best. So, hey folks, a lot of times the show gets really crazy, and if we don't call you out, it's not that we're dissing you in any way. It's just you're in our hearts and everything. So we'll definitely catch you on the rebound. But wanted to let you know there's sometimes when we're watching the replay, I feel badly like, oh man, you said hi and I didn't say hi back, but it's just the chaos of doing a live broadcast.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot going on behind the scenes, having to listen to the other co-hosts, respond to chats, and also go through some transitions. Sometimes you notice things, but you can't get to it right away. So we do apologize if we don't get to shout you out, but just let us know, and we'll definitely circle back and try to get to you.
Absolutely. In fact, I see one of my friends, Soulfinger, from the west side of San Diego. San Diego smooth. Hope all is well with you and your family, our friend.
Absolute soul finger. Also, before we start diving any deeper, just want to give best wishes to Nate Robinson and also Dikembe Mutombo. They're both going through some medical issues at the moment, and they're part of the Knicks family, part of the Knicks community. So definitely want to send our best wishes to them through this troubling time.
Absolutely, prayers.
Facts. All right, so let's jump into some of the preseason numbers. So we were able to pull some of the stats, and let me put that on screen just to show you what the guys did in preseason. I know it's just the preseason, so you don't want to overreact based on the numbers, but you can see that there were a lot of good things going on, especially with that starting unit. You look at the field goal percentage for Jalen Brunson. He shot a blistering 49% from the field. He shot 46% from the three-point line. I remember people were saying, Jalen Brunson may not be as good of a three-point shooter as the numbers suggest because he doesn't take, too many. But to start, he's been shooting at a great pace, shooting for the 46%. It's 46.2. Don't want to short him. Also, his free throw percentage, I think, is tops on the team if you factor in the amount of attempts taken. So you're looking at 88.2. And the turnovers, only 1.5 turnovers per game compared to the 4.3 assists per game. So you can see he's hit the ground running since he's been introduced into that starting lineup. You also see a lot of green for RJ, shooting 48.2% from the field, which is phenomenal. Also shooting 50% from the three-point line. So that's definitely something that Knicks fans should be extremely encouraged about, because you looked at RJ coming into this season and you wanted him to become a better knockdown three-point shooter. So far here in preseason, or at the end of preseason, he's been shooting at an amazing clip. And also the free throw shooting is up at around 81.3%. So Foxy, with those two guys, what have you seen from them in their play together that would make you think that they could be the next dynamic duo here in the league?
Like you just said, man, they're a blink away. The gold standard, as everyone knows, is 50, 40, 90. 50 field goal, 40 from three, and 90 from the foul line. Look at those stats. And the beauty last year, Jalen shot 50% last year from the field. So him, doing that blistering 49 is not an outlier. That's who he is. So, which is wonderful. Like you said, he's shooting 46.2. Usually that's what he shoots from the corner three. So I'm really, hopefully he shoots league average on the other corner threes. But yeah, like we said, and like you said, a 3-to-1 ratio pretty much between assists to turnovers, only 1.5 turnovers. Just he's a pro's pro. You could just see that intensity in him, and and shout out to a few of the different people, Stefan Bundy and Ian Begley. They all reported that during the 4 preseason games, the Knicks outscored their opponents by over 60 points with Brunson on the court. So that's our Brunson effect, folks. And like you said, the synergy playing with RJ, and you could see that he's already earned the respect from the guys. They just hold him in a very high regard, and getting the ball, like I said earlier, whether seeing RJ's on a mismatch, he doesn't have to put his hand up. He already saw him, and he's getting him the ball. So it's just something really, really special. And like you just said, RJ, the same thing, almost by the gold standard. Is it me, or is that 3-point catch and shoot smooth? Shout out to Drew Hanlon, man. He is shooting smooth and just love it. And like we said, 81% from the foul line. Yo, that's the type of thing that we want. The only thing I'll ask is he had 2.5 assists. I'd love him to finish the season about 5 assists. And there was one play I noticed where this is the growth that I want to see later in the season. RJ, they come down the court. RJ, they do the pistol, and so RJ gets the ball, comes around, and goes right for the hole, and he scores a really difficult basket over Miles Turner for 2. No fouls called, but he goes tumbling down. But I watch games so many times, stop, rewind. As he started and they converged on him, Jalen Brunson was all alone for corner 3. That even though he made the basket, Tibbs is always preaching, make the best shot. So he made a very difficult shot. You don't want to make difficult shots. And especially with his history of getting shots blocked against a guy like Miles Turner, he should have kicked that ball out. So those are the things that I want to see for growth from RJ. Get those assist numbers up. But I couldn't ask any more, man. We've been asking for efficiency. What we're looking for is consistency. That's what we said at our exit interview type of show last year. Is coming into this year is like, we don't want 1 month shooting 30% from 3 and then another month 60%. Let's have it consistent every single way. You're in your 4th season. Let's rock and roll. But couldn't ask for any more, man. Just love his quiet leadership.
Yeah, you say consistency, and RJ has been showing us some consistency, at least in the preseason in the 4 games. He's been, I think, the most consistent player in that starting lineup. Brunson did have, a rough shooting night in that 4th game. In the 3rd game against the Pacers. But for the most part, RJ has been solid in all 4. I think he's scored 18, 19, and 21 in those 4 games. So he's shooting right around, he's averaging right around 20 points per game in the 4 games. So I think that's a nice threshold for him to hit. And this is also in reduced minutes, because if you look at what he's been averaging in preseason, he's going to average a lot more minutes than that. He's only averaging 27.5 minutes per game. And you would assume with a coach like Tibbs, he can average anywhere from 32 to 33.
Yeah, another 6-7 minutes, yeah. Exactly. So 20 minutes with his eyes closed.
Mm-hmm. So I think
20 points with his eyes closed. Sorry.
Yeah. So I think he can very easily average 23, 24 points per game this season, especially if you're seeing how he's clicking with Jalen Brunson. So those two are definitely 2 players that I think Knicks should be excited about after seeing what they've been able to do in the preseason. And, some of the other guys in the starting lineup might have had somewhat questionable performances in the preseason. You look at Evan Fournier, his shot was not falling. You look for him to be a shooter, but he only shot 33% from the field and 30% from the 3-point line. I am going to give him some slack. He was over there in Europe playing in Eurobasket. So there could be some fatigue there. But you look at the assists, though. He was able to move the ball, and he averaged 3.3 assists per game. So, Foxy, looking at what Evan Fournier did in the games he was available, how are you looking at him as the potential starter and not being dethroned? Because I don't think any of the guys from the bench were shown enough or were on the court long enough to really take that starting spot.
Yeah, he's a shooter, but kudos to you, my friend. Hey, one thing is playing Eurobasket for your country. I'm all about patriotism. When you're a 21-year-old kid, in a week or so, he's 30 years old. The legs, I'm a firm believer in basketball is so intense that I'm not saying you stop working out, but you need to give your body a little time to just rest. And you see, Giannis, I think, is going through the same thing. They're going full, they're playing their hearts out. And we're old school. The minute you sing balls throughout this preseason, his shot has been hitting the front of the basket. Tired legs. So I'm hoping, that in the future, that's why you hear all these guys. I'm not playing pickup basketball anymore or anything. He's making $18 million this year. I wish he didn't play Euro, but like you said, the 3.3 assist, and the chemistry with Mitch. So you throw in that chemistry with Fournier, you throw in that chemistry with Jalen, you throw in that chemistry with RJ. We'll get to Mitch in a second, but Mitch has a smile that could light up New York City from being involved in this team.
Yeah, I'm very exciting. I'm very excited about what Mitch has shown this preseason, and that's actually a great segue into talking about Mitchell Robinson. So Mitchell Robinson is fresh off a 20-10 performance against the Washington Wizards, and I think he's been a beast. Whether it be his rebounding prowess or his ability to protect the paint and get block shots, just to disrupt a defense in general. I think that's something Mitch has shown he can still do with the best of them. And I think it was a concern for some that maybe Mitchell Robinson might get the bag and kind of take his foot off the pedal, but he's talked about being loyal to the franchise, and the franchise, returning some of that loyalty and extending him so that now he's going to, make sure he's putting 100% effort out there on the court. And I think we've seen that here in the preseason. We've seen him put the work in, and we're seeing it pay dividends. He's much stronger in the paint, able to get a lot of offensive rebounds and just will the ball into the basket sometimes. So I think that's something you look for, and in a center that's going to be your anchor defensively and also be someone that can threaten defenses vertically. So with Mitchell Robinson, I'm extremely thrilled with what he's been able to do so far. Foxy, what are your thoughts on what Mitch has been able to do?
Yeah, like you said, he's been a beast, and he's a different type of cat, man. There's a joy. You look around the Ben Simmons, there's, all these other things in the league. It's nice when you see somebody having fun. And, he's having a good time, and especially now that he's getting involved, he's definitely going to be scoring double figures on the offensive end. So, hey, 75% in, it's a small sample, but that is a lot better than 48.6 that he did last year. So that's fantastic. I'd love to see by the end of the year, Hartenstein by the pinch post. Hey, Mitch, you can do a bounce pass as the guys converge to a guy cutting for a backdoor and stuff like that. I'd love to see that. The only thing is, like you said, he had average 5 rebounds, offensive rebounds per game, but only 3.3 defensive rebounds. So for him to have a double-double this year, especially in rebounds, we need him to up those defensive rebounds. But couldn't ask for any more. Mitch coming in the best condition we've ever seen him. He has that second bounce again. He's a beast, and he's smiling, and that's contagious.
The only thing with Mitch and the defensive rebounds is it might be hard for him to really get that mark, because if you look at Julius, you look at RJ, those are two guys that are really good rebounders as well. So they're going to eat at some of the defensive rebounds. So that's why you might see a major discrepancy between the offensive rebounds and the defensive rebounds, because offensive rebounds are just going to be more difficult to pull down, and Mitch has shown a uncanny knack of knowing where to be, and also has the size and the length to kind of fight and pull those down. So that's why you might see the defensive rebounds dip a little bit, but definitely something he could work on. You can always work on it and get better at things like that. So with Mitch, you saw he was able to average 11 points per game, only 8.3 rebounds per game. He wanted to see to get that to the double-doubles figures, but the whopping 2.3 blocks per game. And I think those, you look at what players can do as offensively and be a microwave for a team. I think the same thing can be said with some of those blocks, that they really energize the team and they put us in a position to now get easy buckets in the fast break. So that's something that I think Mitch does better than a lot of other centers out there on the court. So for us to have him long term, I think is going to be great for us,
Absolutely, absolutely. And like I said, him, the synergy and just with him and the rest of the guys on lobs as they converge and other things, he's coming to his own, and our dreams are coming true.
Facts, facts. So now let's talk about the last guy in the starting lineup, and that's going to be Julius Randle. Now, Julius Randle he was averaged 13.3 points per game, 6.8 rebounds per game, 4.3 assists per game, while shooting 42.9% from the field, 27.3% from the three-point line, and 78.6% from the charity stripe. Now, one major positive is he only averaged one turnover per game, so that's definitely something that you should be thrilled about. If you look at Julius Randle's assist to turnover ratio, it was actually better than Jalen Brunson, who's our point guard. So if we can have two guys that can move the rock and do it without causing too many turnovers, I think it's going to be extremely difficult for teams to try and guard us. We just need Julius Randle to get that three-point shot going. I think sometimes he takes some of his shots off balance. There was one step back three that he took that was just terrible in transition. I'm like, bro, you either pass it or have more confidence in just catching and shooting as opposed to getting caught in between. So that was something he's definitely going to have to work on. But outside of that, I think he's definitely filled the role as that third option. And I think as long as he's the third option and accepts that role, which it seems like he's done so far, this team will be good.
Yeah, I have to. Hey, we say it week after week that he's an exceptional player, and that if his head's in the right place, and he's going to be wonderful. And so I have to applaud him. He's doing the right thing. He's clapping his hands. He did a beautiful with Fournier, a pick and pop at the foul line. That's something that we've been waiting for us to see for a while. So hey, the 27%, we did a show a couple of weeks ago that. I think he's going to shoot a little better than that, but maybe only about 4 or 5 points if history, that second team All NBA season, maybe the outlier. But regardless of that, Julius is. If you just take, as we said with RJ, if you extrapolate the 23.5 minutes to 32 minutes or so for RJ, for Julius, that Tibbs is going to play him. 20-10-5, folks. So as good as gold with that, man. 20-10-5, and like you said, if he can keep those turnovers under 2 with 20-10-5 and doing the right thing and taking smart shots, he's incredibly valuable, man. And also, like we said earlier, I think the key to Julius is hybrid. It's not take the ball out of his hands 100% and just Jalen. There's times where Jalen's going to see a mismatch, and he's an animal, man. Julius one-on-one is devastating. So I think that Jalen's going to see that, and that'll put a smile on his face. We don't want to take away what made Julius so special. We want him to change, obviously, become more efficient and take better shots. And I think Jalen's going to have a big impact on that.
Yep. You definitely don't want to completely change Julius Randle and turn him into somebody that's not effective, but just need him to continue to make smart decisions like he's done so far. And his shot will start falling. I think his three-point shot starts to fall. He has like a nice rhythm with his feet when he's shooting that three-point shot, and whenever that rhythm is off, it's typically going to be a brick. So as long as he's catching the ball, setting, and staying true to his form and his motion, he'll be all right. It's just when he starts to try and act like he's, like he's KD almost with the step back threes and things like that. We don't need him to go too crazy. We just need him to play within the offense and take the best shot instead of trying to force shots. But I'm pretty confident that he'll continue to, he'll figure it out.
Yeah, and the thing I love about Brunson, he made a comment this week that I think is just so important for this team. He said, we're in the mode of not really caring who gets credit. It's a great way to approach the game, especially coming into the regular season.
The starters.
We got to keep thinking like that. And you know what? That's the type of thing. It's like, forget about who's 1, 2, or 3 option in this team. We want to be a winning team. And that's the mentality. So hopefully that Jalen, that type of mentality, is the type of thing everyone buys into and says, yep, let's do what's best for this team. Take the best shot, not a good shot, the best shot.
Jalen needs to tell that to the bench unit because we'll get into them, but they definitely aren't playing that way. So something's not up. Maybe the bench and the starters are just operating in separate areas of the locker room.
Word.
All right, let's jump into the chat, see what we have going on there. All right, let's see. Bricks Nation says salute Keith and Foxy and all in the chat. Let's go Yankees. I mean,
I hate Boone.
Yeah, I hate the Yankees in general, so I'm hoping they take an L.
Yeah, Cabrera, man, 2 games he lost in the field, but I don't put that on him. He's not a left fielder, but I put that on the coach. Take him out, man. 2 games, man, we lost because the guy can't play left field.
Man,
he hit a homer and everything yesterday, but posing that thing, you posing, hitting that home run. I weren't posing when you couldn't make that catch, man.
Hey, you on that? Let's see.
And he didn't put in their closer, man. What the hell is he doing, Boone? So enough of that. So, but good luck, Yankees. I got to root for him. It's in my DNA.
It's not in mine. Let's see. Knicks Nation. Good evening, Keys and Foxy, the chat, SV Nation, and the Knicks Nation. Thank you for tuning in. Evan Best says Mitch is a defensive nightmare. He's doing his job. Facts. The 20 points, that's just icing on the cake when he can have that type of effect defensively and also give you some scoring.
Yeah. Hey, folks, we have 82 in the chat. We have 35 likes. Do us a solid. Please hit that like. If you have subscribed, thank you so much. Please tell a friend to tell a friend. If you haven't, as we say, it's the one-stop shop for Knicks news, rumors, and analysis. Please share the link on your favorite social media platforms. Please turn on that all reminder bell so you don't miss out on any of the wonderful content. Shout out to the best mods in the planet. We appreciate all you do. And also shout out to the replay gang. There's a lot of people, if you can't catch it live, that watch it on the replay, drop the comments, and a lot of people that come to the chat and watch it and then also drop comments. So we love your comments. And also, as always, shout out to the wonderful truckers who love Sports 5 TV as we're driving across the country. And also to our vets. We love the vets and our first responders. So love you guys.
Salute to you all. Thank you. Cliff Allen says, I believe the Knicks will surprise everyone this year, winning more games than most people believe they can. So, Foxy, how many games you think we're going to win?
38.
38?
Yep. And don't mean to bum anybody out. I've mentioned before my great respect for Vegas bookies growing up and through my father, and they're in the business to make money. And there's just little things about Tibbs. I always look for little things about shooting, and we're about to get into the shooting on the second team here, that if our 3-ball doesn't fall the way that we want it to be, it's not that we didn't get better, folks. It's just that the other teams didn't stand still, and that we're the only ones that got better. So I think that we're in desperate need of putting the RJ back at the 2 and getting a real 3 on this team. But I'm really happy with Jalen. I think we're going to have a good year, but it's a multi-year process. So I think 38 to 41 games, but I'm going to go at 38 because, I'm real superstitious. 3 and 8's 11. That's a lucky number for me.
All right. So I think I'm booked in at 45. I said 45, 46 with George during the pregame show, and then I said 45. So I think we'll win 45 and be in position to compete for that 6th spot. And we'll see. We'll see. I think we'll at least be a playing team. 38, I'm not sure. Pop in your face right now.
Yeah, I'm going through. I'm trying to not be negative coming into a season, but I got to keep it real.
It's not about being negative. If you think we'll be a 38-win team, I don't think that's negative or positive. That's just your view.
Yeah. I love the Knicks, but I just got to keep it real, man.
I hear you on that. Not holding it against you. All right. So you mentioned the bench, and you mentioned us having the need for a legitimate 3, and a lot of us were hoping that Cam would have been that type of guy for us, but this preseason his shooting has been abysmal. He's shooting 21.4% from the field, 16.7% from the 3-point line. The only time you get a reprieve with his shooter's numbers is the free throw line, where he's shooting at least 75%, and I mean he's just not really vibing with that second unit. I wanted him to start, but I thought the second unit might have been a better home for him because then he can operate a little bit more with the ball in his hand. But that second unit, him and Quick, just do not gel. And I think we're starting to see some frustration from Cam out there on the court. So, Foxy, what have you seen in Cam's 4 games with the New York Knicks here in preseason?
When this trade happened, you and I were doing a show last year, and you asked me, Foxy, what do you think? And I said, well, I think we traded Kevin Knox to Atlanta for their version of Kevin Knox. And it stands true. We watch Brunson. You don't have to be, Patrick Beverly and be overly. You can tell there's incredible intensity in Jalen Brunson. Cam is playing for his life, for a contract, for his basketball career. I visually don't see that intensity. So it's like, yo, man, and also he doesn't know what the hell he's doing on the court. His rotations, his shot selection is terrible. And I'm always, every game you hear people say, Cam made a shot that nobody else on the Knicks can make. Yeah, he made that one shot, but like you said, but he's shooting 16.7 from 3 and 21% overall. That put a fork in it, man. He's done. So unless there's an injury or something, he didn't take this team. He's made some good plays on defense, but he just he doesn't have intensity. He doesn't have any intensity, this guy. And this is New York, man. We want to see that you want it. And I guess he don't want it. I thought he was going to come in balling at a really high level. And he's just like, do. And it's like, no, man. So hopefully he doesn't get a splinter on the bench.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't have a role on the team out there on the court. Because I was watching the game, and it seemed like offensively we were playing 4-on-5, and that was a lot of the reason why the second unit was struggling, because Cam was kind of parked in the corner looking for the guys to swing him the ball. And when that didn't happen, he didn't really move anywhere on the court. He didn't at least come to the ball and try and ask for it and things like that. So it was definitely disappointing for someone that's a fan of Cam and thinks Cam could be an option for us at the 3 to help move over RJ, but he really didn't show. He didn't have that sense of urgency, and that's something you would have liked to see, especially knowing that Grimes was going to be coming back in this game and he was going to eat at his minutes. And I think we saw, Grimes came in and he took a big chunk of the minutes, and Cam didn't even crack 10 minutes in the game, I believe. I think they gave him a long stretch with the second unit to start, and then you really didn't see much of him after that. So it's unfortunate, and it would take an injury, I think, to get him back in the rotation. But I just hope if he is given another opportunity that he can at least seize it. What we saw this preseason is just not what it's going to take for him to command a spot in the league, period, whether it be with the Knicks or any other team. He just has to have more of a sense of urgency.
Yeah, and we did a show a few streams ago, folks, where we showed the figures for his career, from cleaning the glass and behind the scenes where we say the blue doesn't lie. He's never been a good shooter. Not bad from certain spots on the 3, but he's not been an efficient shooter. So, like we said, he's a court tease. And nobody likes teasers, man. He's a court tease. He shows these flashes, but they're just too far in between, man. You see it and you're like, oh my God, let's see that again. You have to wait a game or 2 to see it again. And that's, hey, first of all, these are young men. We only wish the best for them. But you have to seize the moment, man. And it just maybe needs another team. He couldn't do it in Atlanta. He couldn't beat out Hunter and Herter. Comes here and he can't beat out these guys. And sooner or later, you have to look in the mirror and say, yo, is it on me?
Yeah, I mean, some positives though with Cam. It wasn't all negative. I think defensively, he showed some promise. I think individual defense and also being able to pick off and intercept passes. I think that's something that he did show some skills there. And I think if needed in a pinch, he is someone that we can put in and play some solid defense out there on the wings. You feel the same way, or you disagree, Foxy?
No, I agree. Hey, he's gifted with a 7-foot+ wingspan, so you're damn right he's going to be disruptive in passing lanes. God gave him this gift, so yeah. But it takes a lot more than that length to be a really good defensive player, and it doesn't seem that he knows where to be on both sides of the ball. And that's never going to win you minutes with a Tibbs. You got to know what the hell you're doing, especially on defense. So, yeah, he'll make these nice plays and knock balls off guys' legs. And he did some nice plays here. But it's just doing it for a complete game, not these flashes.
Yeah. Let's jump into the chat, see what's going on. East Blue Drew says, let Cam grow. Last year, everyone went through a slump. Yeah, I hear you. Everyone went through a slump. But the thing is just Cam just didn't look involved. He didn't look engaged, I think, for a lot of that game, especially on offense. I would have liked to see him at least come to the ball or at least make some more cuts. The one time he did cut, people say Quick was icing him out and freezing him out. And I think that could be true. I'm not going to say that's not true. But the one time Cam did cut, Quick found him in the paint, but he kind of went up weak and he got his shot swatted. I think the 2 times he did go up in that first half, he got his shot blocked. So, yeah, maybe the team wasn't focused on getting him the ball or getting him involved, and maybe Quick was freezing him out. But in the 2 times that he did go get opportunities, he went up weak in those situations. So you would like to see him be a little bit more forceful and impose his will when he's out there on the court, especially when he knows he's fighting for a spot in the rotation.
Exactly. And I think maybe some of those plays you got froze out. It's like, you're not doing the right thing, man. You're not supposed to be where you are. And I'm not going to reward you for not knowing what the hell you're supposed to be doing.
Well, I also think it's the fact that Quick hasn't been playing well, too. And we've seen that Tibbs plays Cam at the 2 at times. So if Quick starts to struggle, Cam would be a potential option to eat away at his minutes. So I don't think Quick is necessarily concerned about Cam showing out personally.
As much as he's concerned about Quick.
Exactly. So that could be one reason. And we'll use that to segue into Immanuel Quickley. Because Immanuel Quickley, he really didn't have a great shooting performance this preseason as well. And that's something he said himself he wanted to kind of work on and get better. So this preseason, he averaged 12 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, 3 assists per game, while shooting 34% from the field, 31.6% from the 3-point line, and then 72.7% from the charity stripe, which is shocking because we normally expect, Immanuel Quickley around that 88, 89, 90 range in terms of his shooting percentage. And he came in the season saying he wanted to shoot, he wanted a 4 in that field goal percentage of, mid 40% field goal percentage. So for him to come in and only shoot 34%, I think that's somewhat alarming. So what have you taken from some of Immanuel Quickley's struggles so far this preseason? Because he started off well, and then things started to really taper off towards those last 2 games.
Yeah, I don't know. Some people are going to like this take, but as Knicks fans and as a Knicks team, if we want to make the play-in and/or playoffs, Derrick Rose is going to have to be our second-team point guard. If we want a really good draft choice, Immanuel Quickley should be our point guard. He does these nice transition assists to a leaking out Obi, but it's maddening him being a point guard in the half court. And like I said, folks, I stopped, rewind, stop. I watched the game multiple times. He is a chucker. It's in his DNA. He made a play. He comes down to the left of the key, and a point guard should see that whole court. McBride, Miles Deuce is all alone for a 3-pointer. Instead of passing to Deuce, he turns his body, telegraphs that he's looking at Deuce. They shift on defense. He's no longer open. He's selfish, man. The only thing I could think about it is that he has this chuckers mentality, that that he's selfish. He's not a freaking point guard. He's a secondary playmaker, and I'm tired of this. And he comes into the league as an elite shooter. He shot 39% for the last 2 years, just around league average from 3. He's an elite foul shooter, but who the hell, you don't draft guys for being elite foul shooters. So, he's been good on defense. Got to give him props. He has 1.3 steals and stuff like that. But he's crazy, man. He's maddening. I said to a friend of mine that he reminds me of Sam Darnold. that he comes in, or a quarterback that comes in the first year and he's like throwing interceptions and stuff like that. But you know what? In the offseason, he'll be working with his coach, his quarterback coach, a guru. He's going to come back better. This is his third year, and he's still in the half court. He's not running a team. You watch Jalen run a team, and that's the worst thing. And, from a body language, let me just get this in there. I'm all about body language. Before the last game, how guys come over and hit each other before the game starts. Quick is all animated, and then Jalen comes over. He was real quiet, and he went like, "Yeah." I think he's intimidated that Jalen taken away. Maybe he had visions of grandeur of being the starting point guard on this team, and now he knows that's never going to happen. At least for the next 4 years with Jalen here, that his role is going to be a second team guy that he may, with RJ and a few other things. Maybe that impacted his psyche. I don't know. The bottom line is I think he's valuable as a microwave scorer. But even then, when you see his inefficiency of scoring, yeah, but you don't want a guy in your team that can shoot you out of a game. And his shot selection, there's times I know you, me, and the SV Nation like, what the hell are you taking that shot for? Are you serious? So, he does these great, assists with Obi, his good chemistry and stuff like that. But like you brought it with Cam, icing him out, and other things where you're like saying, if you ask, for the center to come out to set a pick for the second time in a possession, get the hell out of here, man. He doesn't seem like he knows. Point guards are a gift from the Lord. You see that they know how to just dribbling. They'll dribble a certain way to create spacing and stuff like that. It's not even with his 2 seasons living in the film room, as we know he does, being Tibbs' pet and everything else. It's like I said, certain quarterbacks, it's like, Jesus Christ, you're here and you still don't have 1,000, 2,000, getting rid of that ball. What do you get? You got sacked. Or throw the ball away. He doesn't seem to have got that in his mentality as a point guard or what the hell to do.
Yeah, he was extremely frustrating in those last 2 games. Like I said, in the first couple of games, he was decent, nothing that you really wanted to, rip your hair out about. But the last 2 was extremely infuriating, especially seeing him not necessarily look to get the best shot, but actually trying to force his shot and put up some bad shots as well. I think in the third game, right? I think he shot, 4 of 18? And even the shots that you normally see drop for him weren't dropping. The floater from the mid-range wasn't going for him. He even tried to get in and shoot a mid-range jump shot, which is something we would like to see, but that was unsuccessful. And I think if you look at the assists he gets, like you mentioned, the only assists he's getting are those outlet passes to Obi, as he's, I don't want to say cherry picking per se, but as he's leaking out to go into transition. So I would like to see him operate a little bit more as a facilitator and look to get others involved as opposed to trying to go peek in and get his own shot, especially with the fact that Tom Thibodeau was kind of giving him the keys. Because in the first game against the Pacers, Derrick Rose wasn't available. And a lot of people said that's why the second unit struggled. They didn't have that steadying force in a Derrick Rose. But when Derrick Rose came back against the Wizards, there was still issues with that second unit. And the major change now between, Derrick Rose kind of running that second unit and what we're seeing this year is that the ball is primarily in Emmanuel Quickley's hands with that second unit. We don't really see Derrick Rose as that primary ball handler for the most part. So with Quick, if he's going to continue to operate under that role or with that level of responsibility, he's going to have a different type of mindset, a different mentality when he's out there on the court. So unless he changes that up, I think the second unit is going to continue to struggle and have some difficulties.
Yeah, what I thought, several streams are saying we have one of the best second teams in the league. I think it's going to be based on D Rose being D Rose, and we've talked about it. The beautiful thing about Jalen Brunson is built-in minutes management for D Rose. Him, that he's going to play Jalen like crazy, 32 to 34 minutes. So 16 to 14 minutes for D Rose is perfect. Absolutely perfect. He's coming at the best weight of his the same weight of his rookie season. He lost 20 pounds. He's the healthiest he's been in a long time. And even at his age, he's still D Rose, man. So let D Rose rock for those 14, 16 minutes. And like we said, he shot so much better. He shot from three in his rookie year quick because of D Rose penetrating, kicking out where he did, he could square up and catch and shoot and hit those shots. Like you were saying, these floaters off the wrong foot. It's maddening. What the hell are you doing, kid?
Yeah, I got confidence that he'll figure it out, and he better figure it out, because the Knicks, I think a lot of the young guys are getting heat right now because the Knicks didn't make a move and try to bring in a Donovan Mitchell. They weren't willing to give up a Quentin Grimes. They seemed unwilling to include both, RJ and Emmanuel quickly. And not that I'm upset about it. It's just, when you withhold these players from deals that following season, there's going to be higher expectations for them. So to see Emmanuel quickly start to, stumble out of the gate, you worry if some of the, background noise in the offseason or some of the chatter might have got to him, and maybe now he's pressing and trying to prove that, he should be a player that should be here long term.
But he should be. Just meaning, as we said, hey, he's at his best as a Lou Will, off the bench, microwave scorer. He could put it up, and if it's not his night, take him out. But take away those, let D Rose, let somebody else on the second team run it. Let him, be an undersized point guard or a playmaker. But hey, he does have virtues. He's one of the few guys on the team that could pick somebody up defensively, full court. Like we said, he has a great wingspan. So the steals, he averaged 1.3 steals in preseason. Yeah, he's valuable, but you have to know where he's valuable.
Facts. Just want to jump into the chat, see what we have going on. Knicks Nation 112, thank you for tuning in. Says IQ is not Maxey. Tibbs has a new toy, so IQ is no longer Tibbs' pet. Grimes and JB have the title now as teacher's pet. I don't know if I would go that far, but
Brunson, but Grimes, it's too young. He has to earn it again.
Yeah, there's definitely more competition heading into this season, so maybe that could be a reason why IQ is just trying to, show that maybe he's that guy with the second unit. Let's see.
But logo threes are not going to make everybody change your mind, man.
That's true. Marvin Smith says, I have held Tibbs responsible for IQ sports shot selection. I don't know if Tibbs is 100% responsible, because even when Quick is putting up poor shots, I think with the way the play is designed, you see guys open. So I don't think Tibbs is preaching to Quick, get your shot. He's saying get the best shot. So I don't know if Tibbs is responsible for his poor shot selection. What do you think?
Well, he is. I agree that meaning that unless he pulls him from a game after a couple of bad shots and say, kid, you do that again, I'm going to pull you every time you take a shot like that, or you look off somebody who had a better shot than you. We understand why he did it in his rookie season, because how bad this team was. But now as this team has gotten better, you have to do what's the best for the team, and he has to show the discipline like we were talking about last week. Tibbs development. You can't condone bad behavior on the court, and if you're putting up bad shots, what the hell? There's 22 seconds left on the shot clock, and you're putting that shot up. Nobody was under the boards. You have to, somebody has to pay the price for that. If not, they're going to do it again, and then damn, why are we down by 10?
Yeah, but that's for the regular season. This is the preseason. I don't know.
No, I know that, but it's not summer league where you're able to do preseason. Is a couple of games where you're saying, you know what, I want my guys to really play like it is regular season. I'm not going to give them crazy minutes because we're working like crazy in camp, but we have to simulate what's going to happen next week in Memphis. And we can't play around. This is not, playing around now like summer league or something like that. This is serious shit. We're only a blink away from regular season. We got to play like it's regular season.
True, but still, if you let them play with that second unit, you have film now where you can have a teaching moment where you can pull Quick to the side and you can say, all right, Quick, these are the things we're seeing out there on the court, and this is what we need you to stop doing. Because it's not like, I wouldn't say Quick has had terrible shot selection his entire time here with the Knicks. I just think this might be a moment where he's kind of trying to force the issue. per se. So I think this might be some new developments as opposed to him taking some egregious shots. I mean, there's times where you're like, okay, you're not too thrilled with the shot, but I think right now we're seeing him take some shots where it's like, all right, quick, this is not your game. He's been working in the off season with those step backs and trying to shoot off the dribble. And right now, I think he really shouldn't be looking to create too much off the dribble as opposed to moving around and trying to find an open look.
And continuing his rotation.
Exactly. And I think if you have that on film, you can at least show it to him as opposed to just yanking him and then, barking on him in a preseason game.
Yeah, but he's always saying that he studies so much film. Sometimes you shouldn't have a coach have to tell you. If you're watching your own film, you're like saying, yo, I maybe shouldn't have taken that shot. I got to make a note that don't do that again. I want to make sure I don't need the coach telling me not to do that before let me nip that in the bud before the coach does talk to me about that.
Well, let's hope Quick actually does that, because like you said, he says he watches a lot of film, and if you're watching film, there's no way you're going to look at some of his shots and say that's the shot he should have took. So fingers crossed, this is preseason. This is where you're supposed to iron out the kinks, and let's hope, during that first game against Memphis that he comes out a better and a more improved Emmanuel Quickly.
Well, we know he's a microwave, so he'll go through this spurt, and then all of a sudden everybody will be in love with him in about a week or so because he'll have a crazy game.
Mm-hmm. JG says IQ is fine. Stop overreacting. He's not a point guard. Stop trying to fit him into one. I mean, he's
but if he's impacting the other guys, what the hell are you supposed to do?
Yeah, and I mean, it's the discussion right now is his poor shot selection. Whether he's playing the 1 or the 2, his poor shot selection is going to sink the ship regardless. So even though there's still a debate whether or not he's a point guard, his shot selection is something that he has to get in control, regardless of where he's playing.
And over dribbling. How many times have we said dribble? Yo, man, stop dribbling so much.
Yeah. He sometimes he does he has the little Randle effect where Randle can over dribble and then put up a tough shot.
Yeah, you don't mind when Jalen over dribbles because he's still looking for the right guy who's open. He keeps his dribble so he can make people a better shot. He keeps his dribble IQ so he can take the shot again in a second.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's more purpose when Jalen Brunson keeps his dribble, because not only is he keeping his dribble, he's also keeping his heads up, his head's on a swivel. He's able to survey the court and make the right pass. All right, so Foxy, let's continue to discuss the second team. Another guy that we got to discuss, and that's going to be Obi Toppin. Now, Obi did have a pretty great game. Which was that? That was the first game against the Pacers, right? We went off for 24?
Obi went off for the Pistons, I think, was the first game, and then the second game.
No, the first game against the Pacers.
The first game against the Pacers exactly went off for 24.
Yeah, so his averages for the entire preseason, he averaged 11.5 points per game while shooting 53.8% from the field, 23.5% from the three-point line, and 0% from the charity stripe. He averaged 3.8 rebounds per game, had 1.3 assists per game, and 0.3 turnovers. So Foxy, this preseason I think was very important because a lot of fans wanted to see Obi step up and kind of have a performance where he can wrestle some of the minutes away from a Julius Randle. And based off the shooting percentages, especially from 3, I'm not sure if Obi has done enough, but we did see some good signs, especially in that first game against the Indiana Pacers. So what was some of the things you saw from Obi out there on the court, and do you think he's making any headway in trying to get more playing time at that 4 position?
I think he makes a lot of people happy because of these transition jams, but folks, shooting, I'll round it off for his benefit, 24% from 3. Come on, man, you finished the season strong last year. We're not saying you to shoot 45%, but we want you to shoot at least 35% or show that 3 is smooth. What do we say about RJ? Whoa, that's smooth. So he comes in that. Folks, it really bothers me that he played 4 freaking games and never got to the foul line. He had no foul shots in this whole preseason. And that says to me, what are you doing? You're not, so you haven't added a shot creation to your game that you get to the hole and get fouled. So 3 rebounds. He's not even in the same league as Randle in terms of rebounding and stuff. And folks, do you know why Emmanuel quickly had 9 rebounds? Because Obi's not there. He's leaking out all the time. So unless you're playing the Washington Generals, that's going to really work out well. But it's not going to work well against really good teams, man. So I love his highlight dunks and all that stuff. But unless he could hit the 3, he's just he's just a nice ESPN top 10 play for a dunk. But other than that, man, he's not blocking shots. He's not a great rebounder for his size. So he's good. He's exciting. He brings great energy, but he's not in the same league as Randle. Come on.
Fox, you called him a novelty item?
He is a novelty item. And unless he starts showing he can shoot the 3 and do some other things, he is a novelty item. He's a dunk between. And I told you, I don't like that shit in the game. It's disrespectful. Put it between your legs and stuff. Because one of these days, it's going to go wrong in the middle of the game.
Hey, I'm here for it. If it's exciting, I'm here for it. Especially when it works out the way it worked out, where you had McConnell trying to swipe it, and he was like, "Hey, better luck next time." Hey, I'm here for it.
But the next time is going to come, and you're going to. That's when the accountability is going to come. If you don't bench that kid real quick and say, "Don't ever do that again." You want to do it at the Dunk Fest or the Dunk Championships at All-Star Games? Sure, go ahead. Don't do that shit again, ever again.
Yeah, you're allowed to do it until you mess up. And at one time you mess up, then, you're going to have to face the consequences. But till then, in preseason, I'm going to enjoy it. But we definitely want Obi to do a little bit more offensively and be a little bit more versatile. He's not hitting the 3. And I think to start, we saw him try to create a little bit more for himself, especially off the dribble. But in the last couple of games, we really haven't seen much of it. And if he's going to make a legitimate argument to get more minutes, we have to see him be able to create a little bit more for himself. So creating more for himself, being able to knock down the 3, I think those are some of the things that are going to be prerequisites if he's going to get into a legitimate training camp battle with Julius Randle. And we thought we were trending in that direction after that second game. He was able to shoot lights out from the 3-point line, and we saw him create a little bit for himself. But since then, it's really just been him leaking out and scoring in transition. So until he's able to build upon that toolbox and get a little bit more tools in his repertoire, a little bit more moves, whether that be off the dribble or even posting up smaller defenders, because he has been able to, Quick has been able to find him when he's mismatched. But outside of that, he really hasn't found a way to get some easy buckets in the half court. So once he's able to do that, then you can start to have that debate as to whether or not he's warranting more minutes, more playing time. But until then, with Julius Randle continue to play and average, what is it, a 4-to-1 assist turnover ratio, it's going to be hard to say bench Julius Randle, even when he's not shooting great, for Obi Toppin, because Obi, he's going to give you some points in transition. But at least with Julius Randle, we're getting points, we're getting rebounds, and we're getting assists.
And defense. He still plays better defense than Obi, man. Not even close.
When he's engaged.
Yeah, but I think he'll be engaged this year. I'm thinking positive for Julius.
Yeah, you're thinking positive for Julius, but winning 38 games.
And when he's not engaged, he still plays about the same defense as Obi.
So you think Julius Randle will be fully engaged for the entire season if you only win 38 games?
I'm praying. I'm thinking positive. I like somebody to come back, and I like somebody that gets a second chance, and I hope he gets that second chance. So I'm thinking positive. He's a really good player, Julius. Mm-hmm. He's a better player than Obi, bottom line.
All right, so let's move on to another player with the second unit, and that's going to be iHeart. Now, what were some of your first impressions from iHeart? I know a lot of fans were excited to see what he can do, especially with his ability to knock down the 3, also defend in the paint, and his ability as a passer, which we've seen on numerous occasions, whether that be backdoor passes or things like that. So, you look at what he was able to average in the preseason. He averaged 4.8 points per game while shooting 36.8% from the field, 27.3% from the 3-point line. He hit all his free throw shots. He averaged 7.8 rebounds per game, 2 assists, and also had 2 turnovers per game, and a few of those turnovers are offensive fouls because he doesn't know how to stay out of foul trouble. But with this first impression, what do you think Isaiah Hartenstein's role will be on this team moving forward? Do you think he is someone that can kind of compete as well for more playing time, whether it be in closing situations, or do you think until he figures out how to defend without doing bonehead plays that he'll just be limited to the center on the second unit?
I think the latter, that he's a good backup center. Hey, just starting with the positive, his passing from that pinch post, beautiful. I said to myself, folks, if I want D Rose to be our point guard on the second team, God forbid something happens with D Rose, I want the ball to go through Ihart on the second team rather than Quick. I absolutely let him be our Joker, let him be, our Joakim Noah or whatever. But he's very, very good from that. So from a positive standpoint, he's a rebounder. 1.8, like you said, offensive rebounds. Almost 8 rebounds. He's a good rebounder. Now the other things that I wasn't happy with, I'm old school. So if you're over 7 feet, most of your shots are going to be dunks, putbacks, and shots in the paint. And that's why big guys always, we saw with Mitch 76% field goal percentage. When you're a guy over 7 feet and you're shooting 36.8, that's an alarm that goes off in my basketball analysis. Like, you're a big guy. You have big gimme shots around there. Hey, folks, we said it last year that, people are like, hey, he shot 46.7 from 3 last year. You're on like 7 3-point attempts. It's a misleading. So, his form looks all right, but so did Luke Cornett's. So he's a real good backup center, but I'm really concerned that he didn't have a block this preseason. We heard statistically and all these things from people when we got him that he's a rim protector. Hey, Keith, did you see in SV Nation, did you see rim protection from him in the 4 games?
Nothing that jumps off the page or nothing that jumps off the screen.
I know, but when we made our run a couple of years ago, Nerlens Noel may have had, the worst hands we've ever seen, but he was an elite shot blocker. So if you got past you broke through the defense and got there, he was going to either block your shot or he was going to make sure that you were going to kick it out. He was going to alter your shot. He doesn't show any of that. And also, when we lost to Indiana, he was slow. He couldn't get around the picks for that guy hitting threes. So I'm like, exactly. Thank you. So I was like saying to myself, you know what? From a rotation standpoint, Sims is a lot more athletic. Sims has much better footwork. If you have a stretch 5 out there, put Sims on him because, I don't think this is just a 1 or 2 game. This is who he is. He's a real high hustle guy, but he's a backup center. Like you said, gets fouls, gets stupid fouls, makes turnovers. So he's going to be a good backup center, but I think we saw that he's not the rim protector, at least in those 4. We didn't see it. So I'm concerned that people are making this guy out to be the next second coming of Joker. It may be on passing, but the other elements of the game, he's just a backup center.
Foxy, I don't know who called him Joker. Somebody called him Joker?
Well, there's a couple of people. I'm not going to say anything in the Knicks, the Knicks fandom that were going off saying how great of an acquisition. He was a good acquisition, but they were like saying, all these things that he's going to be spectacular. I'm like saying, hey, I watched a lot of Clippers games. He's okay, but he's a journeyman. He spent 3 years in the G League. Not that means anything, but Christian Wood and others have spent time in G League and they've made fine careers, but. Come on. He has really good sense of getting the ball in the pinch post, but the other parts of his game, he's just okay.
Yeah, we'll see if he can get better guarding the pick and roll and the pick and pop because they were definitely attacking him in that Pacers game. What is it, Nimhard? How do you pronounce his last name?
Yeah.
I don't want to call him Nimrod because I think it's.
It's Nemhard, Nembhard.
Yeah,
Andrew Nemhard went to Florida, then he went to Gonzaga.
Yeah, they were definitely picking him apart in the pick and roll, whether it was Nemhard getting an easy shot at the mid range or a three, or if it was Batazde getting an open look. So that's definitely something that they're going to have to work on. And also, I heard that Tibbs doesn't really have them working out, defending stretch bigs, or doesn't really have hasn't taught them a concept, I guess, for them to approach it. So I think that's something that they'll iron out, and maybe we'll see some improvement. But we definitely want to see him start shooting better. We brought him in to knock down the three, and if you're shooting 27.3% from the three-point line, it's not going to force too many people to kind of step out and create that type of space that you would want, or that you would think you would have with a floor spacing big out there. So definitely something he has to work on. But I'm not too concerned. He's playing with a new set of players. He's a new addition to that second unit, so there are going to be some growing pains. But I think he was a solid rebounder. That's definitely something that I think he'll be key with that unit. And the passing, I think you see a lot of open looks, a lot of easy looks when you have the offense, maybe run through him. So as he starts to gel with that second unit, I expect we'll see some better results.
Yeah, I'm hoping, but I definitely think opposing teams are going to say on the defense, on the second team, their second teams out there, it's like, let iHeart beat us from the three. So let's guard over here. But if he's out there, let's let him beat us, because statistically they're going to say we're going to be better off if iHeart takes that three.
Yep. All right, let's see what we have going on in the chat. Sherwin says, I will like iHeart better at the backup four, not the five. I mean, if you're going to have him at the backup four, he's going to have to be a little bit better of a shooter, Shooting 27.3% is not going to cut it, especially at that position. But I don't know if he'll be mobile enough, too, to guard some of the fours that, operate out there on the perimeter. Maybe that's why Foxy had mentioned potentially bringing in Jericho Sims in those situations.
Absolutely, man.
Let me see.
Much better, just better feet, footwork.
Delano Still, salute. Thank you for tuning in. He says, not at all. Noel was better defensively, and it's crazy how he had better hands blocking and forcing turnovers, but couldn't catch a drift. All right, here we go.
A shout out to Willie Cruz. Hey, Willie, Fox woke up on the wrong side of the bed today. I did not. Sometimes I say stuff, it's just my opinion. I'm not saying it's right, wrong. I'm just saying what I saw. And, but I much respect to you. So I woke up on the right side of the bed. Yo.
Yeah, and I think preseason is all about looking at what these players have to do to get better. So that's just what we're talking about, what we saw from these guys. And you can't sit here and say that the bench played well, especially in the last two games. So, I mean, what do you want us to come on here and say if the bench was having some struggles? We talk positively about the starters because the starters played phenomenal, but there is work to be done with that bench unit. So we're just talking about what we saw and what these guys have to do to get better and for us to be more competitive so that they can hit the 45 win total or even the 38 win total that Foxy mentioned. Let's see. Nick Yak says Hartenstein already shoots better than the backup four in Obi. Excellent point, Nick Yak.
Hey, Willie Cruz, just messing with you, Foxy. I love you, Willie. Believe me, I'm cool. And also, like I said, much respect. I respect, everybody has different things, man. That's what makes the world go around. No hate here, that's for sure.
Yep. KD, no Fietum, says the bench is not playing well because they don't have a general. D Rose has lost a step, and IQ is not a point guard. Reasonable analysis there, KD. We're seeing IQ try to run the show, and it's not really working with much effectiveness, honestly. So do they put the ball back in D Rose's hands? Does he still have the quickness in order to break down the defenses and get into the paint, force them to collapse? I think we've seen him do that a couple times while he was out there on the court. So I think he still has enough to be a solid contributor. I just don't know if he'll be able to do it for as many minutes a night that we may need with that second unit, especially if Quick can't show the ability to run the point. Knicks Knicks Nation with a K, 112 says IQ spot would be in jeopardy. Could be in jeopardy. I don't think so with the way Cam has played, but maybe he thought it was in jeopardy, and that is the reason he hasn't been playing as well. He's got a few things in the back of his mind that he's thinking and is throwing off his focus. Who knows? Foxy, what do you think? You think Quick's job should be in jeopardy?
I think, like I said, just body language when he was animated, hyping up other guys before the game the other day, and when Brunson walked by, he's just like, yeah, all right. I think his dreams of running this team were shattered when Brunson came here, and he sees what Brunson's doing, like, damn, this is the real deal. Look what he's doing. Everything about him, I can't hate this dude, but wow, he's going to impact me. And then on the second team, I don't think Quick wants to be a second team player. And that's a good mentality. But the reality is you can't shoot the way you did your first 2 years in the league, coming in, quote unquote, as a sniper. Tibbs saying that he's a great shooter, and he didn't display being a great shooter. So it's on him this year to show that he can hit the shot and that he could do the right thing for the team. So I think his dreams got a little messed up. I think it may be in his head that, I thought I was going to be maybe running this team, but now I'm destined for a second team on this team.
Hey, now, so we'll stick with the second team. We still have a few more players to discuss. I guess we can all talk about them in the same segment, and that's going to be Grimes. Well, let's talk about Grimes first, because Grimes actually played. He did get some minutes, and it was pretty interesting too, because his initial minutes, it seems like Tibbs had a concerted effort of making sure his first minutes was with that starting lineup. So we didn't see Grimes until about 5 minutes left in the second quarter.
Like that, yeah.
When Tibbs had already started to sub the starters back in. So how did you feel about Grimes' play with the starters, and do you think that it was a natural fit, or do you think there was still some rust being shown by Grimes? And we shouldn't take too much by that performance, because he'll get better as the season goes on.
Yeah, you just nailed it, my friend. That really rusty. You made one pass that it's like, I don't care how rusty you are. You just threw a 400-mile-per-hour pass to a guy 4 feet away from you. That you can't do that. That's the type of thing. But it's too much short of a sample size. So I don't hold him that way. We only took 2 shots, I think, in the whole preseason.
2 threes in the first half.
Yeah, so that was it. So it's only like 16 minutes if you round it off. So yeah, he'll come back. Hey, the good thing that he's going to be a dog on D. He's going to use that body and everything else. My biggest concern is his health. Can he stay? Can his foot? I don't know. Do you or anyone in the SV Nation know what's wrong? The ailment that he had that kept him out?
All they've said was a sore foot. They never even mentioned which part of the foot. I didn't know if it was plantar fasciitis or something like that, or because I'm like saying, what is it, that's impacting him? But I just, he missed 36 games last year. He came in with this sore foot. He really didn't shoot that well in preseason, in summer league. He was highly inefficient in the summer league, and I talked about him rushing his shots in summer league. And it's funny, Tibbs said, what'd you think about Tibbs in his, in that 16 minutes? He said, I think he was rushing things a little. Yeah. So you need to just slow it down. Just be yourself, and we saw with Evan, he didn't shoot well. So, once he shows that, gets back into game shape and a few other things, I'm sure that he'll be playing. If he ain't starting, he'll probably be closing. And he's a great catch and shoot guy. So we know he's going to be steady on the defense. We saw those other things, but it's a big year for him. He shot, like we said, 40% in college, basically around 40% his rookie year. All we're asking from him is play great defense and hit those open threes on catch and shoots. If you do that, Grimes, we won't be asking much more out of you, man. Yeah, Grimes, I think he has the perfect tool set with those starters, especially seeing how much the ball is in, RJ and Brunson's hands. So to have somebody like Grimes out there who doesn't need the ball in his hand at all, and even when he does get the ball, he can shoot it in 1 second and get you a high, quality look. So I think once he starts to get some of that rust off, I think we'll see a better version of him. I just hope he's able to go out there and play well, because there's going to be a lot of pressure on him, seeing the fact that the Knicks have told everybody he's untouchable in a trade for a superstar. So he's going to have a lot of expectations, and he's going to have to step up and play well. He's also going to have to stay healthy, because for those same reasons, if he is going to continue to deal with some of these little injuries he's already dealt with so far in his career, then there's going to be a lot of rumblings about him and the Knicks' decision to keep him long term. So hopefully he's able to get back on the court and have a little bit more, look a little bit more like himself. Because like Tibbs said, it looked like he was rushing his shot. Doesn't look like he was 100% comfortable out there with his first time being out there on the court in some time. So I think he'll be all right. I think he'll figure it out. We just need him to figure it out quickly, because I think he should be in the starting lineup if Cam, as we've mentioned, is not the answer.
Yeah, I'm just worried that his foot is bothering him, but he's like saying, I'm going to play. I'm not going to say shit. I'm going to play through this. And then his game is off, and everybody's like, what's wrong with Grimes? But nobody knows that he's afraid of losing time, and he got himself into Tibbs' heart and everything else, and now I'm going to lose that. I can't. I got to play. It's like, no, you got to play when you're healthy. You can't, if you're injured or you're hurt and you can't play the way you play because you can't cut on that foot, or you don't feel comfortable, then you got to speak up. So my heart goes out to him. It's a hard thing, man. You play your whole life to reach this level, and now your knee and now your foot. If your wheels are messed up in this league, you're toast.
Yeah, I don't think he has too much concern about too much to worry about when it comes to losing minutes. I think he's one of the few young guys that doesn't really have to be too concerned about that, as long as he's playing the defense that we know he's able to play, and he can knock down the three at a high clip. I think you look at how Tibbs has spoken about him. I think Tibbs has big plans for him. So I don't think he should be too concerned about potentially losing minutes, even though it is a very competitive guard group that we have there this season. All right.
A shout out to Pudge Nice. Shout out to JJ. Shout out to Delano Steele Jr., Keith Turner. Hope all is well. Hey, folks, we have 32 in the chat. We have 62 likes. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Please turn on that all reminder bell so you don't miss out on any of the wonderful content. Please share the link on your favorite social media platforms. And as always, shout out to the best mods on the planet. We appreciate all you do.
Yep, thank you guys. Definitely a big part of the channel, SV Chat. You guys are a big part of the channel as well. Like we say time and time again, you guys are the third co-host of the show. So we appreciate your support, and we appreciate you tuning in. All right, so let's talk about Deuce for a little bit. He started off on fire. What did he have? 6 steals? Was it 5 or 6 steals in the first game?
6 steals.
6 steals. He showed how he can be a beast defensively, but offensively was hit or miss for the most part. He averaged 4.5 points per game while shooting 33.3% from the three. Shot 30% from the three-point line, 50% from the charity stripe. He averaged 1.8 rebounds per game, 1.5 assists per game, and he did have the 1.5 steals per game. But of course, that average is going to be affected heavily by the 6 in the first game. So what were some of your thoughts on Deuce? I came into this preseason hoping that Deuce would have been able to kind of hold Tibbs' feet to the fire and make things more complicated at that point guard or that guard position, and try to force Tibbs to get him involved. But have you seen enough that from Deuce that would warrant Tibbs actually, doing what he has to do to find more minutes for him?
No, I especially focused on Deuce over the last week, folks, and especially the last few days, watching his plays over and over again. And a lot of you are not going to like this take. I don't think he'll be on this team in 2 years. He has absolutely no first step, no burst, no explosion on offense. And he doesn't have the handle. He can't break down a defense. And, you brought up a great point last week. I mentioned that he was a really good mid-range shooter in college, but he has absolutely no mid-range and so far in the pros. And you brought up a great point that, you know why? Because he's going against elite athletes and long guys. So without that burst on that first step, he can't get his shot off. So he's not a point guard either. At West Virginia, he was a shooting guard, and we talked about quickly, that's the problem. All these kids come from the college whether from Kentucky and other places that, they're not playing point guard in college, but now you want them to play in the pros and you want them to learn that position. It's the wrong league to try to do that, folks. So, we said last week that, Rokas will probably never come over. Folks, I think we need him to come over, because Rokas is so much like Jalen Brunson in terms of a floor general, that he commands the spacing. I would like to see Rokas, a shout out to Rokas. They beat Real Madrid. Barcelona beat Real Madrid. Thomas Satoransky is playing with him now. If he builds on the season he had last year, I think he'd be a great backup to Brunson. I think Brunson would be a great mentor for his game too. Both lefties, he's bigger too. He's 6'5", Rokas. Miles McBride, I love Deuce. He's a nice kid. He has that great wingspan. But if you don't have explosion or first steps or handles on offense, yeah, he's gonna so he's gonna be a defensive specialist. Hey, Farron Hunt had 6 steals in the summer league too. There's certain games where that's gonna happen. But folks, he's slow, even on defense. He has this weird running style where he's just, there's a reason why he was picked 36. I don't see Deuce being a future on this team, and I'm watching so many kids. Hey, you brought up a kid before, Andrew Nembhard. I've watched him at Florida and Gonzaga. He is so much more of a point guard than Deuce is now going into his second year. He doesn't know what he's doing. And it's not something that he's going to learn. So he's a really good kid. He plays tenacious D, but it takes a lot more than that to stick in the NBA. So I think in a couple of years he better learn a foreign language.
Foxy got a bunch of one-liners today.
And I don't mean it in a bad way. It's just that I stop, rewind, stop. I'm like, yo, man, he has better lateral speed than he does in some things, but in this league, you have to have elite, and he's just not good enough. You can't go by a possession here or a possession there. He's not the answer for this team in any way.
I think the jury's still out on Deuce, but he really didn't have as good of a show in his preseason as I would have liked. So I think he'll spend a lot of time in Westchester this season as well, along with some of the guys that we cut. We cut Jeffries. Who were the other 2 players that we cut? I think the kid from Baylor that we just signed. We already. I'll tell you in half a second. I think that's just procedural to get them to the G League.
Yeah, that's true. But we waived James Akinjo, Jalen Harris, Daquan Jeffries, and basically Svi. Michalik and Ryan Archie Diacono, they're going to be on this 15-man roster. Yeah, and you know what, folks? Diacono could run a team better than Deuce. He could run a team better, I think, than Quick already. And it's just textbook. He's Villanova tough, played with Brunson, but they play smart. These guys, there was a play that Deuce made, I think it was with Sims, where the ball got stolen. He ran so TJ McConnell, he ran there. So basically McConnell could cover, instead of creating spacing, he ran to him like, yo, that was a really low IQ move, man. Holy shit. So if you're playing point guard, you have to be like Jalen, man. You have to have an IQ off the charts.
Yeah, we'll see. I think Deuce will still get there. I don't see him long term as a starter. I
never did, but I don't even see him long term as a backup.
I think he can still get there. He definitely, I think, with the athletics, he definitely doesn't have that burst with that first step. But I think we've seen guards that have been able to operate with that second unit and still be able to operate when they would need a screen or things like that. I mean,
Hey, I hope the best for these kids, and for us, I love our Knicks. I hope Evan Best, I hope he proves me wrong 1,000,000,000%. I hope to be wrong. Believe me, I hope to be wrong.
I hear you on that, Foxy. Let's see what we got going on in chat. That says building blocks says Knicks should have picked up Jared Butler. I think I saw somewhere that somebody mentioned that he actually got cut. But the Jazz cut him. Yeah, I think Knicks 100 a game says the Jazz cut Jared Butler. You think that should be a guy that Knicks should pursue if they're looking for someone else that can be an option at the backup point guard?
I wanted him because he had a heart issue. I wanted the Knicks to take that year Isaiah Jackson at 19, and then the next pick up Jared Butler. I loved him at Baylor. He's a dog on D. He's all conference on D. He has a sweet shot. But these are role players. We talk about when you pick in the 20s, you're not going to get, very seldom do you going to get a starter. You're going to get a good role player. So I like him better than Deuce. I think he has a much higher ceiling than Deuce.
Okay. All right, let's see what else we got going on in chat. Nick Yak says, we've all seen him hit threes, Summer League and G League, so many open threes in the NBA. He will be Brunson backup for years after Rose. Who's that, Deuce? I guess he's talking about Deuce.
Yeah, I guess he's talking about Deuce.
Sharice Duncan says Deuce is just a G League player. That's it.
Word.
Keith Turner says, I think some Knicks fans would rather hear a soft lie than the hard truth.
Yeah, and like I said, folks, I rewind, and I'm like, yo, and his foot speed is just not there. It's the most elite league in the league. So like Keith was saying, some guys don't have that, but they have incredible smarts. So, but if you're not showing the IQ to do something like that, and then you're in a whole lot of problems.
Yeah. All right, so let's have a little fun. And let's get into some of the grades. We have report cards prepared for the players and their performance in the preseason. So let's start with the starters. So here, I'll give my grades first. For Jalen Brunson, I gave him an A+. I think he was solid throughout this preseason. He definitely showed that he warranted the contract that we extended him. Hopefully he can continue to build upon the performance of this preseason and build that chemistry both with RJ and with Mitchell Robinson. He was able to find Mitch on a pick and roll in Game 4. I think that was definitely something that was... I think that's definitely something I'd like to see a little bit more of, especially with the way Mitch has performed in the preseason. So Jalen, he got an A+ from me. Evan Fournier, I gave him a C. Really didn't see much, so C is like an average grade. Defensively, there's still some issues. Offensively, he really couldn't shoot, but he wasn't really on the court long enough for me to give him anything worse than a C. So Evans, he's going to get a C. RJ Barrett, gave him an A+. I think RJ has definitely shown that he's serious about becoming the best version of himself this season. I think we have seen the three-point jump shot that he's able to knock down effectively. He's able to, still attack the paint. He still gets blocked here and there, but I think he's finishing much better. So those are definitely two good signs. So I think he had a solid preseason. So I gave him a A+. Julius Randle, he got a B. I know his shooting wasn't where we would like where we would like. Definitely has to get that up. But I think he's been playing within the offense, and he hasn't done anything to kind of sabotage what's going on. He's filled his role. He's played well within that role, whether that be rebounding or finding open teammates. So for him, I gave him a B, and for Mitchell Robinson, I gave him an A. He's come in this preseason. He's shown that he can still be a defensive threat down in the paint and completely change how other teams try and run their offense. And he's an elite offensive rebounder, and he's shown that he can continue to block shots and be a difference maker. So for me, I gave Mitch Robinson an A. Foxy, you want to explain your grades?
Yeah, it's the same thing. Just piggybacking on you, A+ for Jalen. Like we said, anytime when you're on the court, you and your squad, your starting team scores 60 more points than the opposition, you're doing something really special to put them in their spots. And like we said, would you ever think that this was the first 4 games he played for the Knicks? He's melding in so quickly. Evan, again, as you accurately pointed out, I think he's a little tired from Eurobasket. So, but he's a shooter. and shooters shoot, and he'll have his things. He made a gorgeous, cross his body shot coming across the thing. And like I said, I'm really loving his chemistry with Mitch. I want to see him build on that. RJ, after that big contract, smooth stroke from the three. His other things couldn't ask any more. We want that consistency. Randle, like you said, he's been on good behavior. He's learning to move without the ball. Those other things, hopefully that three will come up. But 20-10-5, folks. There's only 3 players in the league that did 20-10-5. Please, I know we all went through a journey last year, and not the nicest journey with Randle, but it's a clean slate. Let's like they said at the beginning, Leon, and let's give a clean slate to Randle. But 20-10-5, you got to put some respect on this guy. Only 3 other guys in the league do that. And Mitch, like I said, I love his utter joy, man. That loyalty. There seems to be a joy in this guy. He's a beast. He seems smiling now with, like I said, Fournier, Jalen, even Randle, everybody getting the act. Yeah, that changes everything. So A+, bringing the joy back, bringing back the beast. So I love our starting 5, man. Evan, that's the thing. And in a perfect world, I'd move RJ to the 2 and get a real 3 for our future. But it's a nice starting 5 compared to some of the teams we've had in the past.
All right. I also asked a question in chat. I wanted to know what SV Nation thinks about the starters or what grade they would give them, whether it be an A, B, C, D. And in the land of participation trophies, we aren't going to be giving guys Fs. All right. So let's talk about the second unit now and see what we graded them. All right, so I'll start with my grades. D Rose, I gave him a B. I think he was decent in the time he was out there on the court. He was able to knock down the 3, still showed the ability to get into the paint. So I think he was worthy of a B. Manuel quickly, I gave him a C-. The shot selection was poor. I think defensively he was good, but offensively there was still a lot to be desired. So we're gonna give him a C- because I think there's definitely a lot of room to improve. Now Cam, this was extremely difficult for me. You guys know I'm a big fan of Cam Reddish, and I think he could still be someone special in this league, but he just didn't show it this preseason. So I have to give him a D. Now, there are some circumstances regarding that grade that probably aren't entirely up to Cam, whether that be players out there on the court not trying to feature him or look to give him the ball. But at the end of the day, you have to make your impact be felt out there on the court. And if they're not giving you the ball, then go get it. And I didn't see that from Cam. So got to give him a D, unfortunately. Now, Obi, I'll give him a C+. I wanted to see more from Obi this preseason. I wanted there to be a legitimate, training camp battle for that starting 4 position. And Obi, for me, just really didn't do enough. It would have just been a regular C, but I gave him the plus because he had that phenomenal game, too, where he was able to showcase what he can do when he's firing on all cylinders. I just think this preseason we just didn't see it enough, so I have to give him a C+. I'll give him a B. A lot of issues when it comes to his fouling and things of that nature. But when you look at what his role will be out there on the court, him being a backup center, I think he had a pretty decent showing for a backup center. He just has to get better with knocking down his shots. And I think they were trying to get him to shoot some threes just to see how the offense would look if he's able to knock down the 3. So I think, he'll find some more time in the paint. He'll get some better looks at and around the rim, so that way his field goal percentage won't be as abysmal as we saw in the preseason. But I think, his rebounding was solid. To start, he was able to knock down the 3 and show what he can do, and also his passing was phenomenal. So for that, I'll give him a B. Sims was extremely limited. We really didn't see too much of him, but everything I saw from Sims during the limited time out there on the court was solid. So I gave him B. Deuce, I gave a C-. We just finished talking about Deuce, him not really showing me enough. I wanted to see more from Deuce. We've been clamoring for Deuce to get playing time since last season, and this season I wanted him to show what he's learned from, or how much better he's gotten in a year here with the team. So, I really didn't see as much improvement as I would have liked. So for that, I've got to give him a C minus. And then Grimes, inconclusive. We really didn't get too much from him. And the time that we did see him play, he was coming off of an injury. So we really didn't feel it was fair to grade Quentin Grimes. So Foxy, you wanted to go with your grades?
Yeah, D Rose, Tibbs knows him. He just gave him a little time. He knows he's a pro's pro. We're going to get, he's healthy, that we said. He's going to be D Rose for us. IQ, we talked about his shooting struggles and some other things, so we can't reward that. Cam, again, the same thing. Obi, we wanted to see more rebounding. We wanted to see, get to the line. We want to see him hitting that three. iHeart, like we said, is a nice backup acquisition, absolutely. But, came here with these top of the league, rim protection stats. We didn't see that, and we saw him being a little over aggressive, like he said, on getting fouls and the turnovers. So we want to see that. Some of it's chemistry, so he'll get better. iHeart. Sims, I like the Sims. I think, we saw him with a cast on one day, and so I think he was just holding him out. But I absolutely think he'll be part of the rotation. I think we'll go to a bigger rotation, like we said, with Sims being maybe that 11th guy on games where, iHeart may not have it. I think Sims absolutely rebounds just as well as iHeart, and he's going to guard people on the perimeter a lot better than iHeart too. Deuce, again, you heard my feelings. I hope I'm so wrong with the kid. But I study guys, and that's why 2 years ago I said, hey, there's a kid, he may be going back to Arizona, but I think we should tell him we'll pick him at 19, and his name was Benedict Mathurin. He went back to school and came out this year, was the 6th pick. He was the real deal. But I also said, stay away from Johnny Davis. So I'm real, I know what my eye tells me. I've had a great record. So if I say that about Deuce, it's not about hating, it's about analysis. And like you said, Grimes is an incomplete because he just didn't have the sample size. So, but hopefully he'll come back. We know he'll be steady on D. Lord, Hail Mary, full of grace, please make him healthy for this season. I don't want that young man playing on one wheel or trying to play through pain and stuff like that. So Grimes, like we said, let's just keep it simple. Play great defense and hit those open catch and shoot threes, and we're going to be really happy.
Yep. So I put 2 polls in chat. The first one was asking what grade SV Nation feels the starters deserved, and I think B won that out with 69% of the vote. So they give the starters as a collective a B. What would you give the starters as a collective, Foxy?
I'd give them definitely a B plus. A brand new point guard, and you would never know it. So it's preseason, and like we said, folks, they're playing really hard in training camp, and then they have a game, their legs and everything else. So I think, hey, my big wish, folks, is for Tibbs, we got to be 3-1 after 4 games. If we lose to Memphis, it's understandable because of Ja. I'd love us to be 4-0 and 3-1. If we're not 3-1 after 4, if we don't, beat Charlotte and beat the Pistons and Orlando, we have beasts coming up right after that. It could get ugly real quick. So it's really, really important that this first team, and I think Jalen, God bless, we have him, they got to come out real serious that, we got to, our first 4 games, we got to be 4-0 or 3-1.
I hear you on that, Foxy, because we're going to have a difficult road to start the season. And, a lot of the things we're talking about, Julius Randle buying in, Emmanuel quickly, hopefully he doesn't press, Obi, hopefully he can figure his shot out. A lot of things, a lot of those things can go off the tracks if we start off slow and a lot of these guys start to press and the media starts to get to them. So we have to start off well. And I think if we start off well, it'll be a nice start to the season where we can kind of withstand some of the tough stretches within this schedule. But we have to beat some of these lesser teams because the Eastern Conference has gotten more difficult and the West still has some hitters over there. So we have to pick our spots and beat the brakes off some of these teams that aren't really playing for much other than Wembayama.
Yeah, I'd love us to make a statement win against Memphis. I really would, and I think it's possible. But if we're nowhere near 3-1 after 4, it's going to be a tough season, folks.
Yep. So let me just close this poll. So here we have the poll for the backups for the bench. So 53% of the chat says that they warranted a C for their performance, and then the next closest was a D with 28% of the vote. So people weren't exactly thrilled with the bench's performance, but luckily for us, this is preseason. The games don't count, and come Wednesday, they have the opportunity to redeem themselves.
Yeah, the eyes don't lie, so I think it was an accurate grade. And shout out to our guy Sherwin. Says Orlando and Detroit bench are deep.
Yep.
Yeah, and they have some really elite young talent, man. We said Jaden Ivey, man, he'll be a monster in a couple of years when the game slows down with him. Cade and Durant, I think, averaged 12 rebounds. The guy that we didn't pick. You remember?
Oh, we picked him, but we traded him.
Thank you. We picked him and then traded him. Yeah, so in Orlando, we know they're stacked. They're so stacked that Jonathan Isaac's not playing.
Yeah, a lot of people wanted us to go after Jonathan Isaac. I don't know about all that.
Yeah, with his contract and stuff, and also something got to be up, man. I thought it was he's out with that knee injury, 14 years now, and I don't know what's up with that knee, but I thought he was going to be back a long time ago.
Right? Yeah, but that's the Magic's problem to deal with. So let's talk about what the rotation will probably look like following preseason. So up on screen, we can see who the starters are: Jalen Brunson, Evan Fournier, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson rounds out the starting 5. Now the second team, based on what we've seen with the rotation, substitution patterns, and performance, it's going to be Derrick Rose backing up, Quick, Grimes, Obi, and iHeart will all make out that second unit. And then you have Sims. We mentioned he could see some time as well, whether that be because of iHeart's foul trouble or because of matchups. If iHeart or Mitchell Robinson aren't doing great guarding people out there on the perimeter, if they're trying to attack us and pick and rolls and things like that to get mismatches, then we could see Sims get some increased minutes. And if you look at what Tibbs did last season, there are opportunities for 3 centers to get some minutes. There's some games where we saw Mitch, Taj, and Sims all get some opportunities out there. So, unfortunately, based on preseason performance, seems like Deuce and Cam are going to be out of the rotation.
Yeah, just if history repeats itself, where Tibbs likes a tight 10-man rotation and stuff, I don't think it bodes well for either Deuce or Cam. And like you said, if Mitch and/or iHeart get into foul trouble, one of them has a little nagging injury or something like that, or iHeart's not being able to come around those screens to get somebody out of perimeter, Sims may be the answer. Or we've talked about it a few times. Maybe that's where you experiment with Randle at the 5 to cover the guy at the perimeter and bring in Obi at the 4. So we'll see if there's any new tricks in Tibbs' bag this year. But if history, we're going by history, he usually likes a 10-man rotation. That's his rotation, with the odd men out being Deuce and Cam.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really seen too many new wrinkles. There's been some in the offense, but for the most part, I haven't really seen him try too many new things. Which is unfortunate, too, because we got some guys that can do a wide variety of things out there on the court. You'd like to see Tibbs put them in the position to do that.
Yeah, I think with Jalen first coming over here and stuff, there wasn't a foundation of them building on from a previous, so he's learning the playbook as much from brand new and stuff. So I think that'll happen as the season goes, but I think he'll solidify and stabilize that team, making the best, getting the ball to the person for their best shot. And as the season goes, like you brought up, Keith, and I love your eye for cutters. So that's why with iHeart, guys cutting to the basket and stuff like that on that second team, we'd love to see that on that first team too. And I think Mitch is capable. It's something that if you're not going to take a 3 or something like that, just don't turn your back to the basket for a dribble handoff at the top of the key after setting a screen. You can do more than that, Mitch. I believe in you.
We believe in you.
We believe in you.
Willie Cruz says looks about right. Nick Yak says Cam is in the rotation. I'm not sure. I don't think Cam is in the rotation, barring any type of injury.
Exactly. If there's an injury, he'll be in there. But Nick Yak, I just don't see. RJ is going to be playing at least 34 minutes. So that means it's 14 for Grimes. What are you going to put in 7 minutes for Grimes and 7 for Cam? I don't think that's Tibbs' style.
Nah. Keith Turner says Tibbs runs a 9-man rotation. I think that's true, but if you believe some of the stuff that was said this season, in the offseason, that Tibbs was going to give Obi Toppin a little bit more playing time, then if you look at that second team, who is going to be, chopped out in order for it to be a 9-man rotation? You see Derrick Rose getting minutes. You see Emmanuel quickly getting minutes. He might be the next option to get chopped out if it's going to be if they're going to shrink it down to a 9-man rotation. You see Quentin Grimes. We know Tibbs likes him, and he's going to probably give him as many opportunities as possible. And then somebody has to back up Mitch as the big man, so he's not going to get cut out. That would only leave Obi to be locked out of a 9-man rotation. And Tibbs, per reports, felt that he wronged, he erred in his decision to not play Obi big minutes in the road, not big minutes, but not to be included in the rotation and get limited minutes. So I think Obi is definitely going to see a uptick in minutes, and I think this will be a legitimate 10-man rotation. Now, will it extend to an 11-man rotation most nights? Maybe not. Foul trouble is going to dictate that, but for the most part, I think we're going to see 10 guys out there every night.
Yeah, if we do a 9-man rotation, that's a recipe for disaster. That means you're overplaying. That means, hey, we love seeing RJ with that second team. But, there's a reason why we were last in the league in third quarter and fourth quarter points. Tibbs overplayed those guys. So if, RJ may be the guy, all right, I want you to play first team, and also I want you to play some second team. You're going to run that kid into the ground, man. We don't want that. So, I definitely see a 10-man rotation here and possibly 11, like we talked about with Sims, foul trouble and nagging injuries and just some matchups that he may be better suited at the perimeter than iHeart on some matchups.
Yep. Let's see what else we have going on in chat. Knicks Nation says you can see why Cam preseason was 86th by IQ. Yeah, because Cam, he's either taking Grimes minutes or he's going to take Quick's minutes, and it's not really in Quick's best interest to have Cam feast, because if Cam starts to feast, then Emmanuel quickly he might be taken out of the rotation.
Yep.
What else we got going on here? So Keith Turner says 3 young players won't play with a Tibbs 9-man rotation. Yeah, and I think people will be extremely upset, because even though these guys have struggled, we still want them on the court, whether that be Quick or Owie. We still want to see those 2 guys on the court, so at least we can get more confirmation as to what we have in them, and we can make a more educated decision as to whether we can continue to try and build with them in mind or move on from them and see if we can get an upgrade for either or.
Yeah. Keith Turner, hope all is well with you and the family. If we go to a 9-man rotation, we're running the guys into the ground. Those are crazy minutes then for players.
Yeah, we got too much depth to be running these guys into the ground. And if we want to make any noise in the playoffs, we need them to have their legs under them.
Yeah, have something left in the tank. Because if you remember 2 years ago, when we had nothing left in the tank. Randle had nothing left in the tank. None of us there was nothing left in the tank because they played so many minutes during the regular season. We couldn't close games last year because we had nothing left in the tank. Please, I hope he learned.
Let's see what else we got going on. KD, Feudman says, what about a second unit of iHeart, Sims, Grimes, D Rose, and IQ? I don't know if we see iHeart out there at the 4 with the way he's been shooting recently. He's going to have to be more of a knockdown shooter, get that shooting percentage higher before they start considering playing him at the 4. Even though I know we mentioned he's shooting better than Obi, but Obi you look as a fixture at the 4 position, and you want to give him as many opportunities to succeed. I don't know if you kind of cut into Obi's minutes just to see if iHeart can work in tandem with Sims.
But also, I don't think we've ever given Obi the opportunity. I think Obi's a better passer than he's given the opportunity to show. We don't see him at that pinch post up there. I'd love to see Obi start bringing more passes into his game. He didn't get a chance last year, and this year, he averaged 1.3 assists. So I think he could build on that, but he has to be schemed to put him in that position.
Bayside Junior says it's not going to be a 9-man. What are you worried about? We know Grimes, Rose, IQ, Obi, and Hart are all going to play. Yep, totally agree. I think those guys are definitely going to play. It's whether or not Tibbs is going to expand past that point. And I think he's going to be forced to at least go to an 11-man rotation on some nights just because of the way iHeart is fouling. And, Mitch, for the most part, has gotten over his fouling woes, but there'll be times when he'll get into foul trouble as well. So it's to be expected.
Yeah, or he's just a little banged up and you need to get some run for somebody else.
D. Ross says we need to come out Deontay Wilder style. You saw the fight yesterday?
That wasn't a fight. One right hand, the guy rolled back into his head. Like, which way did he go?
And Wilder was leaning into the ropes and leaning back and just tapped him. I'm like, oh my God.
I had to watch it 3 times. Like, what the hell knocked him out?
Yeah.
What was that? So, like, yeah.
He barely loaded up. He just said, bloop. Go to sleep. Night, night.
But you saw his eyes. He's a great actor, or talk about a glass jaw, man. A glass chin, man. Like, yo, what was that?
Yep. God bless you if you pay $75 for that.
Well, that definitely wasn't. Everybody's like, maybe he's the next Tyson Fury. No, he's not.
Tyson Fury or Mike Tyson?
Tyson Fury.
Oh, you mean the guy he knocked out?
The guy who knocked out Wilder.
No, Wilder didn't get knocked out. Wilder did the knocking out.
Wilder didn't get knocked out by Fury.
Oh, copy. I thought you were talking about the fight last night.
No.
All right. Let's see what we got going on here in chat. Paul Butler says, Foxy, I agree about Coach Comover.
Yeah, hi, Paul. Hope all is well with you and the family. Still Dre, yo. Knicks 100 GM, yo.
Let's see what's going on. Nick Yak says Mitch fouled out. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so we surveyed 100 people. What's up?
We love him, so we just wanted to give a quick shout out to our guy.
Yeah. Nick Yak says Mitch fouled out 2 times last year. Just repeating narrative again. I mean, it's going to happen. Players get into foul trouble. I didn't say he's going to be in foul trouble the entire season, but it'll happen. Players get into foul trouble, and if he does, we'll have a center in Sims that can step up and play.
Yeah, and sometimes you have an off game, and sometimes you have bad refs. So we're calling plays like, what the hell was that call? So it's the NBA. You're going against elite guys. It happens, man.
Yep.
You go against Embiid. It's easy to get 6 fouls with going against Embiid.
Yep, and the fact the fact that Mitchell Robinson fouled out 2 times last season, you would assume if he fouls out the same amount of times, that's at least 2 games where Tibbs is going to have to expand to an 11-man rotation. So like we said, there are going to be games in which Tibbs will have to feature an 11-man rotation. That's either if iHeart gets into foul trouble or Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah. Hey, Big Chino. Hey, how are you out in L.A., La La Land?
Salute to L.A.
Yeah, in La La Land. Say hi to our guy George into the Knicks first. Hope all is well.
Facts. I gotta head out to L.A. one of these days. Never been there. Furthest on the West Coast I've ever been was Vegas.
Yeah, no, L.A.'s crazy, man.
That's all they say.
Yeah. It's great weather, great women, and great weed.
All right, Foxy. I think we'll wrap it up there. We had a phenomenal show. Thank you, SV Nation, for tuning in and joining. I didn't even realize it's almost been 2 hours, so thank you guys. We had a phenomenal show, I believe. Foxy, I think you were great. SV Nation, you guys were great as always. And I think this New York Knicks team has the ability to be great, but we need these guys to all buy in and, do some of the things that Tibbs says. Look for the best shot, ball movement, and play defense. And we need Tibbs to live up to his words. When these guys are, these young guys are earning the minutes behind the scenes in practice and on the court, he's going to have to make those adjustments. So as long as we see that this season, this team, I think, will be in a good position to either make the playoffs outright or be in the play-in. So thank you guys for tuning in. Foxy, anything you want to say before we sign off?
Just thank you to the SV Nation. Like we said, thank you. We appreciate you subscribing, and we love your comments. So please, whether you're in the chat, want to drop a comment, or on the replay gang, we appreciate it. Shout out to everyone. Also, shout out to Jay Boogie. Boogie, we got your thing at the last second. So everybody, he has a new song, All Eyes on Us. Please support our guy, Jay Boogie. Hopefully, maybe next week or so, we'll have that song on here. But I'm sure.
Oh no, the song is here. We'll close with the song.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. So we'll close on the song, Boogie, and we love you, man.
Yep. So once again, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back next Sunday, 6:15, our usual time slot, and then we'll have some real games to actually discuss. So once again, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Keith, joined as always by my co-host Stephen Fox, and we're out.
Love you.
New York, on your blue, tried and true, we the Knicks. New York, on your blue, tried and true, we the Knicks.
New York, we still some Knickerbockers, whole world shockers, all eyes on us. Coming in like Willis Reed, y'all gon' see all eyes on us. New York, New York. All eyes on us, all eyes on us. Coming in like Willis Reed, y'all gon' see all eyes on us. We still some Knickerbockers, whole world shockers, all eyes on us.
What Leon Rose did, no spite of the future set for the young kids. Let off, this a straight aim. I wish the worst and the best way for Danny Ainge. You wanna rob us for our draft picks? Strip us down, take the logo off New York Knicks. I guess by now you don't feel the shine. Them ain't trades we pulling up, them quitting grinds. Let me give you a little history. Us New Yorkers reacting, man, you quickly. Why you think we got the media watching? Fast break through the legs, here come that Obi Toppin. Straight fashion, we got the best clothes. When you in shape, you take your shirt off like Derrick Rose. All you used to be Knicks fans, go ahead and switch. This that block nest mustard floor, money mix. Like please Tom, no time to play. I walk in the garden with a pea coat like I'm Fournier. A Nick jersey, some Levi's, some butter Timbs. This ain't a loop, this a alley-oop, the Jericho Sims. Keep it real, however, we got a different style. I call Deuce for the pressure, he give me 8 miles. Famous line for the dice game. What the bet is? I raise it up for the cam and call it reddish. You read the Bible and know the Quran. Just live your dreams every day, make the team like Quan. Catch the youth before they hit their prime. Work hard, get rewarded, come on Hartenstein. I'm talking to all the East guards. I brought Jaden from the West, now he's an East guard. The same number 11, you know the rod strict. Now you playing against a squad with a baby pick. Look at Julius right now, he know it's game time. That off-season lose weight, pivot baseline. That big bucket being made when it's crunch time. That jab step left hand in your face time. I know Drake represent. You see the 6 hard, but turn it upside right. You see that's 9 guard. This time around for the season, I'm making prop bets. I need 26 mil off that Tyler check. The truth is, you gotta be a little tougher. Every time we play Miami, I gotta deal with Jimmy Butler. MIP All-Star play, I gotta have it. Pretty boy, young Key Sweat, Broadway Barrett. I know we got a lot of haters. I know we got a lot of doubters. But one thing for sure, us is that orange and blue, we gon' always stick together. It's us against the
All
world.
eyes on us, coming in like real as real. Y'all gon' see all eyes on us. We still some Knickerbockers, whole world shockers, all eyes.